As a self-unemployed, now involuntarily retired musician of over 50 years, I spend my time cycling around the southeast London environment, Brockley especially, as a self-appointed micro-library cleaner, really. I go around cleaning them up, enjoying the books that arrive. Any excess books I take to another library which is lacking, or if a book's been there for several months or two, I'll move that on to a different library. So I'm like many dozens of other people that voluntarily enjoy keeping the micro-libraries active. A typical cycle trip, I might go over to Peckham Rye, to the east to Blackheath Ponds, to the southeast maybe Sundridge Park or Bromley North. So maybe I'm doing 20 miles on a ride, or if I'm walking maybe up to 10 miles, amazingly enough. During school holidays you get parents sorting out kids moving up a bit, especially summer holidays. They're moving up a year in school and they might be going to secondary school, so you always get extra children's books in the micro-libraries. Oh, I've not seen this one before. Fantastic. Wow. Oh no! Oh no, look at the floor, it needs a good tidy up. Oh well, so be it. Now, books which aren't popular. No one wants this these days, same as David Walliams' books, and the other one is Russell Brand. No one seems to want Russell Brand, funny that. Fascinating, you get a collection of books to the same subject, and here we've got several photographic books, so sometimes I put them all in order so the people keen on photography can appreciate taking and borrowing or keeping one of these books.
What inspired you to set up your book nook?
A ripe old age of 40, where my family all wanted to get me a lasting present, shall we say. And it's very difficult to choose, and perhaps at that age stuff isn't quite as important. It's more memories and spending time with people. My dad had retired, so I was driving my mum a little potty. So I said, I think the best thing that we can do here is give you a bit of a challenge. I'd like a book nook in the garden. There's nothing online that takes my fancy, but I'm going to hand that over to you so you can do the Brian Large version of a flat pack IKEA and come and set that up, and we can have a day painting and spend loads of time and choose the books, and it will be a family effort, but it will reach out into the wider community. And that was February 2020. So the Book Nook arrived for my birthday. We did do the day of painting and putting it all together. And then, of course, March was installed and lockdown hit. So at that point, reaching out into the community really did have a massive impact, because at that point people were tucked away at home, school shut down. The Book Nook really came into its own.
I can't really remember the initial decision to do it, but I always loved a book swap anyway, so I would always look in any pub that had like a little book area where you could take a book, or the book swaps around. I've always gone straight for them. And then we wanted to sort out our books because we had so many books. I thought, actually, charity shops don't seem to take them very often sometimes, and also, you know, they have a lot of books. I thought, well, we had an old cupboard. I thought, actually, why don't I have a book swap here and set it up? So there was no sort of conscious decision. It's like a few ideas. I thought, oh, actually, that'd be a nice thing to have here.
So I have worked in the children and youth sector for 20 years, and one of the trends that I was becoming aware of was the rise in time that children are spending online, and at the same time as spending less time in person in their communities. So what we know is the roaming range of children has reduced significantly upon generations. So a couple of generations ago, children were allowed to play out all day, go for miles on their bikes. A generation ago, it sort of shrunk to about a mile, and now children barely sort of really have free range to go outside their homes very much. And these two factors combined made me feel, what can I do in my community to help children get out and about and comfortable in their neighbourhood, and to engage with something which isn't necessarily through a screen. Not that screens are bad, but I'm just really passionate about children having, you know, in real life experiences with other people and getting to know their communities. And so I thought setting up a little book swap at the front of our drive, and maybe kind of advertising it via our local sort of community groups and school groups, might encourage children to come and walk a couple of blocks, to pick up a book and drop one off, and to sort of create a bit of a buzz and excitement around sort of reading.
What kind of contribution do you feel it's made to your community?
Well, I get loads and loads of people saying thank you when you're outside. If we're in the garden or putting books in, people always come past and say, oh, I really like the book swap, thank you for the books. And also, every Thursday in the church next door, there's the food bank. So on Thursdays, there's a lot of customers, because I think people who come to get their produce in the food bank also know they can get a book, which I think is brilliant, because that, you know, an added extra for those people to have a book to go home with as well.
I think the one that really stands out is a young man who was going off to uni, and we'd happened to have several books that he desperately needed for his coursework, and they're so expensive, and he just couldn't believe his luck that they were sitting in there waiting to find a new home to go to, and he was just checking with us that he could take all of them, and I was like, please do, because they're so specialised that they need to go to someone who's going to make good use of them. And he's turned around and he said when he finishes his course that he will come back and he will donate other books back to the library again, so it'll do a full cycle round. But that was really lovely, because he just, the joy, he couldn't believe his luck when he found the ones that he was after. So that's a really happy story.
We have a WhatsApp group which was set up during the COVID sort of times, where people will say, oh, I've got a bunch of cookery books which I've put out in the library, come and help yourselves. Or we've just had a clear out, if you've got any kids aged 7 to 11, there's a load of comics on this, on that, you know, go check them out. And I just think that low level, low pressure, informal connection, social connection creates, I don't know, just a friendly environment, a greater sense of belonging. And it just sort of makes you feel a bit warm and fuzzy, I suppose.
During COVID, when people were in lockdown and weren't able to go to the libraries, weren't really open at the beginning, it became a real hub for people to actually come and sort of like be a bit social in a way and get a book and have a choice and do something. For people who were stuck at home, it was an escape in a way. So I met a lady who, she was really lovely. She came and said a big thank you, because she was allergic to eggs. If you're allergic to eggs, it was preferable not to have the vaccine. So she was very self-isolating because she wasn't able to be vaccinated. So the only thing she could do during COVID was actually come to the book swap and take a book and give a book. And I think what was nice about it is that she didn't take more than one book each time, because part of her social experience in COVID was to go out the house and go to the book swap and choose a book. So, you know, rather than going, oh, there's loads of books, I'll take loads, she would make sure she only took one each time to extend her joy of the bookshop, if that's the right thing.
It's actually been really quite popular with grown-ups, and there's still demand from children, and sometimes the books get all muddled up, and I think what would be really great is to have two separate ones. So we've got one with adult content and one which is more child focused. I think that would make it easier for people to find what they wanted, and I think we've got enough demand and interest and turnover to make that possible. And so just like with the first sort of set of shelves, I've picked up another free one off the street, which is currently sitting in our back garden and waiting for me to kind of waterproof it and do it up a little bit, which might be a summer project.
So I put that one in today. That's a really good book. I really enjoyed that. I bought that from a second-hand shop, so that's it'd be nice to put a little sticker in saying, this is a really good book.
I often put little gifts in there sometimes, like packets of pencils that we've accumulated along the way. So there was a sewing kit that went in the other day. So it's always worth coming and having a little rifle through, because it's not just books that manage to find their way into the library. Sometimes you find a little treat in there as well. So always worth a little snooky through and see what you can find.
So like a little side hustle to the book swap is our seed swap. So this is the idea that for the gardeners on the street, when they're propagating their own sort of plants, or that they're picking up seeds, they can put those little sort of sachets into a box, which then people can, just like with the books, take and leave. But we have had a bit of misfortune, because twice we've put out seed boxes and the whole box with all the seeds has been taken. So it's our third attempt currently, and we're really hoping that this one will remain and will continue to work.
We don't have a lot of poetry that comes through the Book Nook, and I think that that's really important. So we often try and have a little delve through our collection and see if there's anything that we can pass on to somebody else. So yeah, I would say poetry's not that popular, but if anyone's got any poetry, then chuck it our way, because we're more than happy to put it in there.
I'd love to find a way to make this more attractive and appealing to kind of the adolescent bracket, because again, it costs nothing, and I think it could be a really nice addition for teenagers or tweens with not very much to do, who can potter out and about and go and explore between different libraries. So if there's a way in which we could encourage or make that happen, that would be something I'd love to do.
Had an inspiration. The Forest Hill Society do guided walks. We have a walking festival in June, I think. It'd be quite nice to have a book swap walk, wouldn't it? Where you do a local walk that takes in book swaps. That'd be a nice idea. Take a few books with you, and every time you get to a book swap, drop one off or take one away. That'd be nice.
As a musician, obviously one's concerned about the loss of record sales and audio sales, and in the same way the book world, self-publishing is on the increase, and one worries about local book outlets. But wouldn't it be nice maybe to have some audio micro-libraries, CDs, cassettes, DVDs? Just a thought.
It's really a lot easier than you think to set up a book swap. It really doesn't take very much effort. We got our item of furniture just as a freebie cast away on the street by another neighbour. And all we did was put some plastic film on the glass in case it got smashed and broke, which hasn't happened. And I varnished it to make it a little bit waterproof. That's basically it. And, we filled it with some books, we texted some neighbours to encourage some use. And we often get, upwards of 20 people a day dropping in to sort of drop off or pick something up.
It makes my day when I turn up at a micro-library and someone has totally replenished the books, tidied them up, and you just feel you're part of a movement. Very satisfying.
I think it's not a hardship. So if anyone was debating about running a little library, it's not really. You sit out there and have a cup of tea and sort through the books, and it's amazing the people that will chat to you on the street as they go by as well. It's a nice thing to do.